the last section of our awareness session is regarding the regulations and supervision of DNFBPs. This session I'll conduct myself, and considering the time, I'll try to wind up in next 5 to 10 minutes. Since majority of the matters have been discussed by our esteemed panelists with regards to the obligations and also with regards to the regulations of the DNFBPs, one thing I would like to highlight is that the DNFBPs, why accountants fall under the ambit of the FATF, is in the FATF recommendations or in the guidance, illustrative guidance, you can mostly see the word DNFBPs. Which has almost around 4-5 types, and one of the type is the accountants when they prepare for or carry out certain transaction of their clients, which were duly highlighted by Dr. Hari Kumar. Moving forward, with regards to the supervision of DNFBPs, the FATF has a recommendation, that is recommendation number 28, which deals with the overall supervision of the overall supervision of the DNFBPs. The two major aspects of this recommendation are the number one is whether the supervisor or the self-regulatory body, whatever the model the country is following, they should take the necessary measures in order to prevent the criminals or their associates from being professionally accredited or being or are the beneficial owner of any accounting firm. This is basically, in common word, we call these as market entry controls. And secondly, the supervisor or the self-regulatory body should have an effective and proportionate dissuasive sanction. I will remain within the ambit of the FATF recommendations without highlighting the impact without highlighting the practices followed by other countries, since there are multiple audience from the multiple countries involved. What is risk-based supervision? It is basically there are certain characteristics of the risk-based supervision. I will highlight them. Number one, the supervisor should maintain a good understanding of the MLTF risk. That is, what is risk-based supervision is basically focusing on the risk-based areas when dealing with the supervision of the DNFBPs, and giving the resources, providing the resources towards the areas which are of higher risk without neglecting the overall aspect, that is the lower or the medium risk. One of the aspect of this risk-based supervision is to provide targeted or guidance and feedbacks to the supervisor, to the reporting firm, in the form of directing the remedial action or maybe exercising enforcement action wherever necessary. There should be the supervisor should be equipped with expertise and powers in order to deal with the supervision in a risk-based approach. And the most important thing is, as an accountant regulator, there must be a coordination among the other regulators and law enforcement agencies as well, particularly with the FIUs of the country. As Adnan Imran mentioned, that when an STR is reported, and if there a regulator has a coordination with the FIU, these can be dealt in accordance. These can be very much helpful when assigning the risk category to any reporting firm by the regulator. Concluding or just focusing on the overall features of the supervisory risk framework, there are, I would say, two aspects. One is the preventive and the other one is the reactive aspect. The preventive aspect is basically regarding when the regulator is applying the market entry controls at the entry of the DNFBPs, not allowing to take license without proper due diligence. Secondly, engaging with the DNFBPs or with the accounting firms in the form of off-site and on-site monitoring and the regular follow-ups. But when it comes to reactive, there comes the enforcement actions or the action plans or the remedial action plans that are being given to the DNFBPs or the reporting firm. So to sum up the supervisory system with regards to the recommendation 28, The one approach is the preventive approach, which then result into the reactive approach, the overall supervision system of the reporting firm. The last thing which I need to mention is that there are some illustrative guidelines of the FATF. These are in detail, which can be read through these slides. But the one thing which I like to mention is the regulator, when starting or when commencing any supervision of the DNFBPs, there should be a clear understanding of the sector, understanding of the risk of the sector with regards to the sectoral risk assessment. And then towards that entity, when a supervision is being done towards that entity, the regulator should have a clear knowledge of that the risk of MLTF under which that specific entity to whom they are supervising is falling, just in order to make sure that specific resources and if a specific focus is being given to that reporting firm. Secondly, the supervisor or the SRB should assess the adequacy of the internal control, just like Dr. Hari Kumar also mentioned that we need to assess the adequacy of the internal controls of DNFBPs in order to properly to take into account the overall money laundering and terrorist financing risk while making overall risk profiling of the DNFBPs. The last thing is the legal structure of the country should empower the regulator to perform their functions, including the power to monitor and to impose any sanction in cases of any non-compliance. So this is basically a broad structure of the overall regulation recommendation 28, which relates to the risk-based supervision of the DNFBPs.